Hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor here. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this consultation series. We're going to give you all kinds of tips and tricks for effectively and properly lighting up your home. If you want to get your free consultation, just shoot me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca. Send me a few pictures and we'll give you a video presentation of what lights are going to work best with your property, or go and visit us at lightingdoctor.ca or go check out all our videos on YouTube.
Hey, Matt, yeah, thanks for sending in the pictures here and checking out the website. I will give you some ideas for sure. I did want to point one thing out. Is one thing you want to consider whenever you're doing landscape lighting is symmetry. So you want to try and have it as balanced as much as possible. And I'll kind of walk you through what I mean with that. But if I look at the front of the house here, I mean, definitely a couple things that you want to highlight. You got some really nice trees that I think you're going to want to accent. The one thing I find that a lot of times people will do, and obviously it depends on budget and stuff, and you can always add more lights down the road, is they'll try and light too many things with just one light, and a lot of times you're better off using more than one light, especially when you have some nice unique trees like you have in your yard here. And I'll kind of explain a little bit about that, but I would probably try and get, just again for that symmetry, I'd probably try and light both of these on the front of the entryway here. I think it would look good. It just, anytime you can kind of help highlight the entryway, always looks good. The one thing I will recommend with these uplights, and you'll want to just use a standard uplight, you could put a slightly brighter, narrower degree bulb in there. And what that'll do, it'll help push the light further up some of these trees, especially if they're a little narrower and they're going to grow pretty tall. I might consider doing that, and because they are by the entryway, I would probably also try and put a hex baffle on these. And all a hex baffle is this little honeycomb shaped filter, fits over the lens, and what it does is it just helps deflect the glare. So as you're walking in and out of the house, you don't really see the source of that light. You're just going to see these two trees lit up. And then if we move on to the rest of the house, so what I've seen about two lights is, and I'll just kind of scroll through some of the pictures here, but on some of the trees, I think you're going to want to use more than one light. So for example, on this guy here, because you have so many cool branching structures, it's a wider tree. I would probably recommend trying to have two accent lights at the base and have them kind of shining in two separate directions. Just one I think will look okay, but I think you're going to get a lot more effect if you're able to do that with two lights on this tree. And then again, with that symmetry, what I would probably do, because I always want to try and accent the house a little bit, especially if you have some nice brickwork in that. From this first picture here, what I would probably try and do is if possible, I would probably try and get an accent light. Now, I don't know if the bed is wide enough here to kind of get that light back here, but I would kind of have one shining here that almost shines through the bushes and up to this top peak, because then what it does is it helps highlight some of that brickwork. If these are too far out and too close to the edge that you can't really get a light far enough back without being on the lawn, and it's just going to shine directly into these and you can't get it to kind of shine past them, then what I would do is I would try and actually get that light behind those bushes, and again have it close to the house, shining almost straight up, so it accents this whole front peak here and this brick section. And then you've got the entryway lit nicely, and then you've got this tree lit really nicely as well. And then if you move to the other side of the front of the house, again we've got this lit, but this would be another tree that would be a really good option to have two lights that kind of shine in two separate angles, because you have so many cool branching structures, and I think this could be a really nice feature tree. I would probably try and throw two on there. And if you keep moving around the front, again, one accent light on this tree back here, and then another one, if not two. And the reason you may want to put two on this one is just different viewing angles. Now, because you have this guy here, I think you could probably throw an accent light kind of at the base. This one you might want to throw it a little bit further back and try and have it shining up. And then this one kind of from this viewing angle here. The reason you may want to consider having two on this one is that you put one a little bit more on this side, so the viewing angle is a little bit more from here, and then you put another one on this side so that the viewing angle is a little bit more from there. And then as you round out the side of the house, you put another one kind of at the base here that catches this tree. So you kind of extend that viewing angle from just having it look good from the front of the house, and you're having it look good from all the way around here. Yeah, I think you probably could get an accent light in here that kind of shines through. And what could be kind of cool too is that if you catch some of these bushes, as long as it's not too close and doesn't create a hot spot here, it's cool when you shine it through the bushes, and if it can create a little bit of shadowing on the stone, is a cool look as well. I did just want to point out something else in the front. This tree, I think you definitely want to try and get some lights on it. Now, a couple different things. Again, you're not going to do a good enough job with just one light on this tree, so I think you're going to want to use more than one. And because you have grass around it, you probably want to use an in-ground light, very similar to an uplight. The only difference is that it goes right in the grass. It's flush. You can just mow right over it. Unless you're thinking about extending the bed around here and just using a couple accent lights, I would use the in-ground lights. And again, I would probably try and get one over here and one over here that kind of shine up on this tree to do a really good job, because one light I just don't think is going to do it. I will give you another thought. It's a little bit more work. The effect is amazing, but it is a little bit more work, is looking at some downlighting in a tree like this. And what I would try and do is get, one or two lights mounted up here, and just you can just use a regular accent light like this guy, mount it with a tree mounting stake like this, super easy to use. Basically just a giant screw that screws into the tree, and then you can screw the fixture onto it and then have that shining down. And what that does is it highlights more of the branching structures, but then see all this cool shadowing you have in the daytime from the sun. You get that same effect at night, and we call it moonlighting because the light is shining through the branches. So something to consider. It's a little bit more work. If you want to learn a little bit more about how we do that, just go to YouTube, search Lighting Doctor tree lighting videos, and we kind of show one how to go and do that effectively, and it's really not that hard, and it would look amazing. And if you were to do that, then you could probably get away with just having one accent light at the base and then having like two up here that shine down, and this tree would look phenomenal, and nobody does that, so you would really stand out from anybody else who has lighting. So I know that's probably more than the initial lights that you had talked about, but I want to make sure to give you some really good ideas here. Something else I would probably consider, and I just want to see if there's I would almost consider lighting these second story dormers too. I don't think you have to because they're far enough back, but I know that's one and more thing that would just elevate your lighting project to the next level. Again, just using some standard, but if we go back to the first page, using a couple accent lights like these guys and mounting them right on the gutters here with a gutter mount. It's easy to do. You just run the wire right up the gutter and along the side of the house or in the gutter. You can make your connections right in the gutter. They're all waterproof, and actually mounting those at the base of these and getting two lights to shine up on those second story dormers is always a really cool effect. And I often get asked, oh, is it going to be too much light shining into the window? And it's not, because it is a subtle light and you're shining it more kind of at the top peaks, so it does a really good job of lighting those. So something else I would consider, again, you can always add that later if you want to just start in stages. You can definitely do that. Moving on to the back, again, I saw this tree here that you have by the fire pit area, and I think I saw some different videos or pictures of it. I would probably, again, try and get like two accent lights on this guy that kind of shine at two different angles so that you're really taking advantage of all the canopy that you have there. That being said, if it's budget and you don't want to overdo it, and again, you can always add more later, you definitely want to accent that guy. I would probably try and accent some of these. Just so many cool branching structures. I would love to see two lights on this tree here. And because they are close to a fire pit and sitting area, something else you might want to consider is throwing hex baffles in those lights too, again, to deflect the glare. For a tree like this, you don't necessarily even have to have the lights in the front here if they're too close to the sitting area. You can always have them in the back and backlight this tree, which is another cool effect and brings a whole nother level into your lighting design. I know this video's getting a little long, but you got lots of cool things that you could feature. Again, trying to get on some of these lower line ones, if you want a subtler light, I would probably try and look at doing a wash light. Wider angle, softer light is great for shrubs like this. And then you could also have it, on this guy on this guy. And then if there's enough room between the walkway and the shrubs, I would probably even try and throw like 2 in here just to kind of balance out that light, and then use that same light on some of these smaller guys. And then the tree in the back here, that's where I would throw an accent light, if not 2, to highlight that and make that kind of stand out. And then you have different levels of light. You've got some lower line, softer light on some of these smaller, subtler features, and then you've got some bigger, brighter lights on some of the more featured trees in the backyard. And I think that pretty much covers all the areas. Over here, again, this is another area where if you wanted to, you could use some path lights. I'm always hesitant to use path lights by the pool, because as you're in the pool, you're kind of looking up at those lights. But this is where a lot of times we'll use those wash lights, say maybe here and here, and actually have those shining up through these bushes, and it kind of backlights the fence as well as creates some shadows, makes these look bigger than it is. And it's a really good way to kind of create some perimeter lighting, so that you you have the whole perimeter kind of lit with light. And what that does is it makes it stand out. So instead of just looking at a big dark spot, now you've kind of got that backlit. So again, I know that's a lot of information, longer video, but please have a look. I don't think you're going to fit into a box with any of our kits that are on our website. We do customize them all the time, so let me know what ideas of those you like, maybe a quantity of lights based on what I talked about, and we can customize a kit for you that's got everything you need. Or by all means, you can go play around on the website, add the lights you need to your cart. I think this is the transformer set that you're going to want to use for the front and the back. Have 2 separate transformers with Wi-Fi timers. The beauty is you can have the 2 transformers, they run on the same app. You can control them however you want, which is great. And it comes with all the materials you need to easily do the amount of lights I specified. But if you want us to customize it a little bit more, by all means, let me know. Thanks.
Guys, now I'm going to show you some tree lighting examples and how we do that. Now I'm going to do it down low here. I've got my ladder. I'm going to go put it up in the tree, but it's tough to get my camera up there. So this is how we do it. We do it with these tree mount stakes, and the reason I like these is they're no maintenance. Sometimes you'll see people will mount lights to trees just using like a regular bracket, but what happens is as that tree grows, eventually it grows right over that bracket, right over the wire and all that. So I'm going to show you how to do this properly so that you don't have to worry about that. It's with these tree stakes. Super easy. See, the light screws actually into the top of here, and then this screws into our tree. So basically what I do is I just get it started with the hammer, get it in there a little bit, and then you can just use any screwdriver or anything. There's a little hole here, and you can just tighten that on. Keep spinning until you get it all the way in there. And the nice thing about that is now as the tree grows, it's easy to go and back that off. So as the tree starts getting wider and starts getting closer to the end, all you have to go do is do the opposite now, and you can just slowly back that off a little bit. So that's why I like that. Once you got it in there, pretty simple. Then your fixture is just a 1/2 inch thread, just pops in there and screws in. Now I don't have this all the way in, so it's not going to be super steady, but it'll give you the right idea. And then you just make your adjustments, shine it down. One thing I will say is anytime you're doing downlight, something you do want to do is get one of these hex baffles. I don't know if you can see this little honeycomb. Sorry, this bee's bugging me here. This little honeycomb shaped filter. Basically what that does is it just goes underneath the lens. And then now, when that's shining down, it helps deflect the glare, because especially with downlights that are shining down, if you walk right under it or kind of in the proximity of it, sometimes it's shining right in your eye. What this does, it helps deflect that a little bit, so it's not as bright in your eye. And then lastly, the other question I get is how do you go and secure the wire to the tree? Because you can leave it just dangling like this, which is great, but then it's visible and people don't always like that. So how you can go secure that is actually just use these zip ties with screw holes in it. Again, another reason that we use those is because it's easy to go and back that screw off as that tree grows bigger. Because so many times I see people who just screw the wire or staple it to the tree or something, and then within a year or two you can't find that wire anymore because the tree's grown right over it. Well, this eliminates that. And basically all you do now is you go and you screw that zip tie
to the tree. And then you can go now, put the zip tie around the wire. And then you can secure it to the tree. But what it does too is not only does it keep it from the tree growing around it, but as that tree grows, now the wire has some play so it can grow with it. So at the base, anytime you do tree lighting, you want to leave a little bit of wire coiled up and buried so that tree can grow, and you can just keep pulling that wire up. And if you need to, over time, you can back this off. That's how you keep lights in trees for a long, long time. And with the lights that we use, they're designed for that. They're not designed to only be up there for 3 to 5 years. They're designed to be up there for as long as you want them to. So that's how you go properly mount a light in a tree to get that cool downlighting effect we talk about all the time.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video presentation with some great tips and tools on how to go and properly and effectively light up your landscape. And be sure, if you want your own free consultation video, just send me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca with a few pictures of your property, and we'll get back to you with some really cool ideas and ways to go and effectively light your property. And be sure to watch the videos after this one for more tips on how to install landscape lighting, as well as how to light up your landscape the best way possible.